Hi everyone, welcome back to making a Pokemon save editor in C. I don't remember how far in we are. I think this is 16 or 17. I really should have checked that before sitting down. So since last time, where we fixed kind of a problematic issue where we weren't really saving like our hacked data reliably. That was what we did in the previous part. I have since made a few changes off screen at various points this week. So I think ensure Pokemon data write order is one of the latest commits here. Probably what I should do as well is zoom in. So yeah, ensure data write order was what we did last time. So I have since done some housekeeping. We can see that I have renamed a lot of these files to have a CSAV, which I guess just the name of this project, prefix. Just because things like, save.h, text.h is a bit too generic. I mean, this isn't really a library, it's more of a program, but it's nice to kind of have it, anyone can look in the code, and if they want to use it, they can. So what else did I do? So apart from renaming files, I've moved a bunch of functions into a dedicated save.c file. So the get latest block, the get section by ID, the print section address, calculating a section checksum. That is that has all been moved into here. What else do we have? So yeah, I also made text.c. So I moved util.c to just text, because we don't need that utility function anymore that reverses bytes. It's completely unused, so I got rid of that. The other major change was pretty much everything I've now added some kind of documentation for. So if I actually jump to this file, everything is kind of, I explain what I'm doing. This is for my benefit, but also for someone who might be looking at this blind. So I just took all the functions I currently had and wrote some definitions for them. And a lot of this was based on, I don't know if I have an example open here, but when I've been looking at like C projects in the past, a really good example that I take a lot of kind of inspiration from is Postgres. I actually find that the Postgres code base, which is also written in C, does an excellent job at kind of describing things that need to be described. Just the word choice and the prose that they use in comments, I think is really good. I think it's a very good example of a very solid C code base. But my opinion doesn't really mean much. I'm very new to C and systems programming, but I kind of generally followed the let's explain this shit because it's a bit confusing paradigm that I guess Postgres uses. And that's about it. So those are the major changes. This is the housekeeping. So the commit called housekeeping. So yeah, any unused functions have been removed. Quote unquote Postgres style function documentation. I had some weird complaint that it was saying I was using const in a function declaration. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll get rid of that. Yeah, texting code. I have changed to return a size T instead, because technically you can pass in a size T length, so it doesn't make sense that previously it returned a short, because you would completely narrow the result there. Because the return value is the number of bytes that have been encoded to something else. So, yeah. So then what else? Anything that I want to keep quote unquote private, I have marked as static. I think there's only one example of where I'm using this, which is, get substructure order. I don't think that needs to be used outside of the Pokemon. I don't even know if, what's the word for it? Package? The Pokemon class is, well, it's not a class. I don't know. What do you call this? Module? But yeah, I've just made that static, so you can't use it somewhere else. Files have been prefixed with csav, and util.h I renamed to text. So that's the different things that I did off screen. I've also consolidated all of these to-dos. And it's a good job that this is the one that came up, because I actually want to do this real quick. So we want to make a enum of the section IDs. So I wasn't really too sure how to use enums in C when I first started this project, but we're using them a few times now, so I think it makes sense to actually create an enum for this. So they all line up like really nicely as well, so that's good. So I guess in the save header file, which I don't have open, we want to create that. So enum, what is the syntax for that? So it's enum, then the name, and your values, sure. So let's call this save section. And yeah, we want to have all of these values. So so let's call this save section trainer info, save section team items, one for game state, miss data, rival info, and then all of the PC buffers. So save section PC buffer A. So that's 2, sorry, that is 1, that's 2, that's 3, that's 4. And this is our game state. This is misc data. This one is rival info. So 5 should be PC buffer A. Yeah. Then this one is B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and I. Let's make all of these line up real quick. I'm sure there's a way of doing this a little bit quicker, but I don't need to break out the Python this time. Then we can make these line up again. And then we just fill out the numbers. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. Cool. Okay, so let's actually look at where we can use this. I think it's probably just in here, so save get section by ID, which does see some usage in our main program. So this would be save section team items. Should this signature be the enum or any unsigned? I don't know. I think we use enum in a signature elsewhere. Or not. Can we actually use an enum in a signature? Wait. Yeah. So I guess this would be const enum save section. Yeah. Maybe this should actually be called save section ID. That probably makes more sense. And I guess that's fine. Does it compile? It does. We do have compilation warnings, which would be interesting to see. Although I don't... When I do a build, it doesn't actually say anything, so... probably if I was to do it just on its own in, like, GCC, it would be fine. But yeah, okay, alright, that's one thing that we can tick off here. So... That's that, but that is not the bulk of what I wanted to do today. I was thinking a little bit more about what I actually want to do with this. First of all, if it's actually going to be a save editor with a purpose, then what are we going to do in terms of how is a user going to actually use something like this? So I was doing some reading about different what a bizarre song, about different GUI apps. I think a GUI makes the most sense. GTK looks like a sensible option, so that might be an option there, but I'm not probably not going to look at that just yet, because I think we're light on functionality, so I would rather have it actually doing more things first, before we look at creating the actual user interface. Because one of those things, if I was to go back to the notes I made ages ago, which I've since moved to here, so our main goal was to kind of hack in a level 100 Mewtwo. So I think we can still do that. We have the means of doing that now. So can we add any extra Pokemon into the team? I think we can definitely do that, and then we can look at adding a level 100 Mewtwo. So yeah, let's try and do that today. Let's try and actually create a new Pokemon, because I think that would be a interesting kind of thing to do. So let's remove the thing. Now that we have actual version control, let's modify some of this. So let's call this enter a nickname for the new Pokemon. Here's what you've entered, here's your thing, then we open the save file. I mean, the order of this flow doesn't really matter, but what I want to do is get rid of the stuff that we know we're definitely not going to use. So this is find the save block to modify. If we want to put a new Pokemon in our team, we still want the team items save section. So whilst we have a pointer to Pokemon Zero's nickname, there's still a whole bunch of stats that we need to fill out for a new one. I guess we can keep all of the Squirtle hacking at the moment. Actually, do we want to keep all the Squirtle hacking at the moment? We probably don't, right? And in fact, there's a whole bunch of stuff here that I know I'm not using anymore. Okay, Okay, those are the only two usages, for example, of rev data. So I think we can... I think we can probably get rid of most of these. I'm just trying to think about what would be the best way of actually doing this, because Pokemon data type is determined by a specific order. Now, this person in the text file did say somewhere, I'm just going to say create, because he said something about when I create a Pokemon, I randomize the Pokemon ID. So that's going to be kind of like step one. We need to give it a personality value, which is going to be effectively random. That does affect shininess, so if we want shininess to be an option, we'll have to account for that, but we can do that later. But that is to... It needs a personality value, basically, to determine the order of the Pokemon save data. So just for some like real estate here, I'm going to get rid of these lines that actually change stuff around. So we probably don't want all of that. So now we've grabbed like the data that we actually want to use. So this should be initialized correctly into this specific type. And we should be able to just directly access the Pokemon 1 in this array. Obviously Pokemon 0 is Squirtle, Pokemon 1 is going to be our new one. So, so let's start there. So I'm just going to put a comment in here that's like creating a new Pokemon. So step 1 is generate a personality value. So this probably needs to be a function, and it's going to return however big a personality value currently is. In fact, I'm going to let me close all tabs and just start over. So I know I want main.c, I know I want Pokemon, and I know I want Pokemon.h. I think a personality value is a unsigned 32. Yes, it is. So we can create a new function in here just called like get or create new personality value, I guess. So this is going to be a uint32t. Let's just call this init personality value. And I don't think this needs any... This doesn't need any arguments because we're just going to pull out a random unsigned 32-bit number. But what I don't know is how we do randomness in C. This... Oh, okay. So we do have a man page, random number generator, pseudo-random numbers in the range from 0 to 2 to the power of 31 minus 1, which is going to be big enough for us, because, yeah, 2 to the power of 31 minus 1. Is going to be enough. So that's fine. Or it's a long, so yeah, this works. I guess it's not. So we can just literally call random, and it will give you a completely random number. You can just use that function as is, which seems pretty cool. And it's in stdlib. Okay. I wonder then if this needs to be a function, or we can just have some more general function that creates like a boilerplate Pokemon. Yeah, whatever. So this is actually going to return us a Pokemon. Yeah. And we will add to the signature as time goes on. So step 1 in here is to generate a personality value. Vlau. And do we have stdlib in here? We do not, so let's add that. And then let's call this this actually probably does need a Pokemon pointer. And this probably is going to be a void. So yeah, generating a personality value should be as simple as just calling random. I'm not the best at maths, so let me actually confirm that this is in the bounds of what we want. So this is a Mersenne prime. And in hexadecimal it's 7FFF. Okay, I guess that doesn't... Okay, yeah, this is the maximum possible value for a 32-bit signed. I mean, we could go for unsigned, but does random only ever support a signed value? So we don't really care about state. That's fine. We don't care about state, at least yet. Let's just go with this then. Let's just stick with random for now, and maybe put a to-do here. Or let's call this generates assigned 32-bit int. Then let's say make unsigned or support unsigned. So the Pokemon's personality value will be random. Cool. Great. So I guess it can just be a random number. I don't know if there's any constraints to this kind of thing. Let's see what the text file says. I don't think it actually says anything. I randomized the Pokemon ID. If you want a clone of your Pokemon, uncheck use random PIDs, which Pokemon ID. So sure. So then probably what it would help to do actually is follow the structure of a Pokemon. So then who is the OT? I guess we want to pass that via the signature. So an OT is in here. It is a uint32t. Could this be null? Actually, I suppose it probably can't. It probably can't be null. We could just set it to 0 if we want to generate a new one. Maybe we can do some kind of tell for that. Like maybe an enum works here as well. Yeah, we could just do Pokemon in its settings. And we just have one in here called random. So then we can say if OT ID is random, then we want to also generate a random OT ID. Otherwise, we want to set it to OT ID. Probably makes sense to actually do that as a ternary statement here. So we could just do OTID is OTID random. Yeah. That looks a lot nicer. So their nickname. That's... Whoa, yeah, that's not a... we want to add in a nickname here. I think this has to be a pointer. So this is going to be a mem copy. Pokemon nickname is going to be nickname. And that probably needs to have some kind of a length, like a fixed length, which is 10. I wonder if I can define that, actually. And then we can change references to that maybe here. Yeah. Then in my previous file... Whoops. So then we have language, which is quite simple. That is going to be English. This could probably be enumerated, actually. So again, we can do a similar thing here. I'm going to rename that to Pokemon Init Random. C line is so weird sometimes. I don't know why it does that. It might be because I accidentally had caps lock on, yeah. Pokemon Init Random. So then our language is what we define here, and this is 1 through 7. So let's call this unused. Wait, can we actually? Oh, we can. Okay. Right. That is actually very nice. We don't need to do like placeholders in the enum then. So Pokemon lang, let's call this like JP, that's 1. En is 2. FR would be 3. IT 4. German, which is DE, would be 5. There's an unused one there, but ES would be 7. Whoops. Why are you not undoing that? There we go. So we then need a new thing here. I think this is going to get a little bit too long, so I'm going to maybe do these on different lines. So after nickname, we then probably want some kind of language. Oh, I really should put PKMN, right? Making so many typing mistakes today. Maybe this isn't the best way of abstracting this stuff, but whatever. So this is actually PKMN language. Let's just call this lang. Then we can probably do a switch case here. And this is quite simply basically if they've selected any kind of valid language, so EN, ES, or FR, or JP, or IT, then we want to set P language lang and break. Otherwise the default yep, unknown language, but I'm going to say defaulting to EN instead. So let's do that. So P language will be Pokemon lang EN. And then we break. Cool. So that should be dealing with language. After language, what else do we have? Miscellaneous flags, which I think we need to come back to. Because I think this is going to need like functions and things of its own. I believe the only thing we need to do here is just set this to 2. Because that's bit 1. So whatever the Pokemon species index is non-zero, which should be the case for any Pokemon. So then what else do we need? We want an OT name, which is another unsigned character pointer. And the OT name is a maximum of 7, so let's do that replacement in here as well. So line 47, whoops. Go to the end of the line, pkmn, OT name len. So that's easy enough. We can do p. This is going to have to be another mem copy. Yes, okay, well done, predictive text. Then markings. We'll come back to that. Then we just have checksum and data. Cool, okay. So the data is where it gets a bit more interesting. I guess we'll need to do this, then I don't know. Do we actually need to do anything with data here? Guess we can just like initialize it like that. Then we can just do return p. Actually, sorry, it's a void, so we just do that. Cool. Okay. I'm going to say unknown language specified here. So then to create a new Pokemon, we probably want a Pokemon, should we call him Poke? And we'll just create a completely empty array of bytes, and then let's do pkmn. We need to add this function to our header. So let's find a suitable place for that, I guess here. Something like that. Yeah. So what does it not like about this? These can be const. I guess they can, yeah. That was not what I intended to do. But great. There we go. So this should actually probably go back into this one. Okay, interesting. It doesn't actually like me declaring these things as const here, so I'm going to need to read up why that is. But sure. Okay, cool. So we can then do Pokemon init new, and now we need to send some values over here. So first of all, we send the address of poke, who's our OT ID. It should probably be us, so I need to read my OT ID. So get my OT ID. So this is going to be trainer section, and we want to get the section by ID. Oh my god. Save trainer info. Okay, so inside data. I think I have abstractions for this, don't I? So it's in save. Yes, I do. Okay, so trainer info. I should change these to actually fit what they are. I mean, trainer ID here is just a unsigned 32-bit, right? Trainer ID, yeah. So there's a public and a secret ID. Cool. So this actually, rather than being an unsigned car, we can just do a uint32t. Yeah. So we need to cast this actually to a trainer info type. So I'm going to call this tinfo, trainer info pointer, trainer section data. Let's call this my OTID, which is a uint32t, is tinfo trainer ID. Cool. So that was that one. So that's my OTID. Then I need to set my OT name. Call this player name. Oh, that's a pointer already. Okay. So this is my OT name. Then this, then we need a nickname of some kind here. PKMN nickname Len. Let's call this new guy. And actually this text needs to be encoded, doesn't it? It does. How are we writing stuff before? We just do like an sprintf. Sprintf. They write to the character string str. Okay. Does it do length, like a specific length? It does not. Is it SN printf? Yeah. So what is the signature for that? I'm actually going to put it on this side. SN printf. Actually, I'm sure I've... Oh no, that's a scanf. Okay. Yeah. So SN printf. Where was I looking? Further up. Take me further up. Am I blind? Okay. So we want to SN printf. So this is a pointer to where we want to write. So I guess this is new name. Pokemon nickname length. That, and we can just do this was new guy, right? Gonna assume that works. Then in init new, so we then need to give it new name. And finally lang, so pkmn lang en. No. Not that. Lang en. Cool. Okay. So let's see then what Pokemon looks like. Can we build? We cannot. Because it expected an expression when initializing that data, and then the rest is... Oh, it really doesn't like how I'm using memcopy, but sure. Okay, so here... this needs to be filled with something, I assume. No, that... Okay, expected expression. I don't know, I mean... What actually is P data? How have I defined it here? As a Pokemon data block. So 48. Well, actually, if we've initialized that to nothing, then this doesn't need to be set. I guess it would need to be mallocked somewhere, and then freed elsewhere. So, actually, this doesn't need to be done right now. Maybe init data is the next thing to be done. But let's see if we can create all of the outer wrappings first. So I'm going to use the debugger. Oh, hang on. This should actually be name. Yeah. Whoops. Yeah. Oh, and I'm... Oh, yeah, I completely forgot to do the text encoding as well, but I'm doing that here. So, this needs to be new Nick. I suppose. Yeah. Let's call this new guy. I didn't debug. Okay. So what we should have is something here called poke. And it should have a whole bunch of data. So the OTID should be mine, which is just 34709, and then a completely random, very large number for the personality value. Now, this one being set how it is does look a little bit weird. Like, surely my OTID has more bytes than that. Actually, non-zero bytes than that. But we'll roll with it. Then we have NEWGUY, and then the rest are filled with those. I don't know if that 0 is going to be a problem. The language was set to 2, and our misc flags were set to 2. And then this should be like A, B, C, B, A, which is our trainer name. And we have a completely empty block of Pokemon data. Cool. Right, so what if we were to try and get the decryption key from this? So if I did poke, OTID, XOR poke personality value. Is it not going to let me do that? Is it actually, it needs to be dot? Oh, okay. Oh yeah, because Pokemon's not a pointer. Sorry, my bad. Or at least it's not at this point. So we do get some kind of decryption key here. But it won't show me where it is because it's not technically in our stack. So, okay. Fine. Let's remove that. Okay. Cool. I guess, how far in are we? About 52 minutes. So it's probably worth doing some stuff on data. Let's see if we can spend a little bit more time trying to figure out how to write in data. The only thing is, though, I'm not surely, is that OTID reliable? Okay, that is apparently my trainer ID. Although, did the article say something else, actually? The upper 16 bits represent the visible public ID. The upper 16 bits represent the hidden secret ID. If I went to TI data, so this is my Squirtle. He actually has a lot more bytes. He has 879580D0. Whereas this is just 8795. So do we have a 80D0 close by here? We do not. So how are we going to infer those bits? Does it tell us in here? A secret ID cannot be... Yeah, they're not truly random. Okay. Okay, so right now we need to infer our trainer ID, including the secret ID, from somewhere else. Oh. Wait, high order word is... O trainer secret ID. Okay, byte 7 through 6. Fine. Because this is actually saying... Yeah, if that's a... If this is an OTID, so these are the bytes in an OTID. Think ZZ, YY, XX, WW. the high order is our secret ID, so the ZZYY. Okay, and you just pull those out by dividing by that number. Okay, so secret ID still is a mystery to us. Yeah, okay. Secret ID is still a mystery. So, what we need to do instead is I'm going to say from Squirtle because reading an OT ID from the trainer info section does not include 2 of the 4 bytes. The secret ID. I do still need to grab my name from the trainer section, although that might actually be bundled with Squirtle as well, thinking about it. I think it is. Yeah, OT name. Okay, so we don't actually need any of these lines. So I'm just going to say the below code uses my trainer info section. So instead, we can actually just read straight from TI data. So Pokemon 0 dot OTID is my uint32t my OTID. And then my unsigned character pointer, my OT name, is actually TI data, blah, 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 OT name. Okay. What I should probably do is mem copy my OT name, address of, no? What don't you like? It might be because I haven't closed this out properly. Yep, so TI data, Pokemon OT name, does this... oh, okay. Right, I'm not actually sure. Okay, we don't use dots in mem copy. Well, I've not actually had to do this many levels of nesting before. So is this actually a pointer? It's an unsigned character array. So I can technically use this as it is. My OT name is also an unsigned character array. Right? Let's go with yes. We'll go with yes. let's try that again. So my OT name should probably not be filled up like that. Although actually I say that, I don't know where this comes from, because this is A, B, C, B, A, and then it's like a whole bunch of... Oh, okay, yeah, because that we need to be scanning 7, not 10. That needs to be 7. Okay, so our Pokemon here... Actually, I said I would look at data, but I do need to leave soon. So our Pokemon down here does have the right bytes now, A, B, C, B, A. And that is properly terminated. Misflags to language 2. I think we are without issues now. So what we should be able to do technically is do the same thing we did before. So mod that by poke OT ID. And this gives us the decryption key that we would use for that data. I would be interested to see what substructure order we have, which means that I probably shouldn't have made that static. So let me unmake that static temporarily. Well, let me not make things static until I know I need them. Right? Okay. Let's debug that again. When I call get substructure order. Does this actually return me a value? It does. Okay. And then... Oh, what have I called this? Is the PKMN data substructure. Let's call this new poke order equals that. And let's try that again. So this is going to be random each time. So that was AGME. Because that... or actually, it's the personality value mod 24, isn't it? Oh no, it's the original. Oh no, that's the decryption key. So yeah, this is the personality value mod 24. So poke personality value mod 24. Yeah, 7. So AGME should be 7. Yes, it is. Okay. And then just for fun, if we try this again, and I do new guy 2, which is 7 characters. We also have AGME. Is it generating the same random number every time? I think it's generating the same random number every time, because that's the exact same value. Probably what I want to do is put a watch on personality value. Let's put a watch there. Will it not allow me? Add to watches. So before, we had 1804 in our quote-unquote before. 180428. If I was to quit and run this again, we have the exact same value. So I'm guessing random is not randoming. Or rather, it's a... Well, it is randoming, but it's a completely reproducible random. Huh, okay. Because I would have inferred from that random number generator... The difference is that rand produces a much less random sequence. Sets the initial seed. But then it takes a void. Unless I need... S random dev initializes a state array So I could just like grab a random number from the device. But yeah, sorry, I inferred from that it was gonna just create a random number each time. You don't need to like set a seed or anything like that. Is that right? Let's conclude by testing that. So, where was it? It was in stdlib, right? So include stdlib.h int main. What was it? Long rand is random. And then we need standard io.h. Yep, you're right. That's also not valid, my bad. I guess ld, yep. Okay, cool. So if we did gcc main.c, okay. Yeah, so it's a, yeah, you always get the same seed, or you always initialize to the same state in your random number generator, so you get the same random number, the same initial random number every time you run the program. So probably if I was to recompile, it would be a little bit different. Okay, no, it's the exact same. That's not the same exact number I had there, the 1802, the 1804. Okay. 28938, yeah, okay. It's the same random number every single time. Okay, fine. We need to make it actually random. So maybe making it random from the device would work, by reading random bytes from the device. Because I really don't care about seeds or anything like that. We want something that's truly random. We don't need to reproduce it, at least right now. Okay, but I think we'll deal with that next time. Maybe we can update our notes a little bit. So this issue is resolved. And I can just say here, random number generator. Using random on its own generates the same initial random number each time. Maybe we should read random bytes from the device instead. C man random. Probably if we were to do this again, and then we reassign rand, but print it again, it will always be the same two numbers, yeah. Okay, fine. That's something to keep in mind for next time then, in that case. Should probably close that. Yeah, okay. That's something for us to look at next time, and we will also look at initializing data as well, because we do have it's easy enough to get the substructure order, so we know the order that we're writing in. We just need to be able to first of all make sure all of this is correct first, which if we want a random personality value, then we want to actually be using random numbers. So we'll look at that next time. But in the meantime, thanks for your patience. I've made a lot of typing mistakes today. I think it's because it's the end of a very long week. So I've been doing a lot of typing already. But yeah, thank you very much. I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.